Johnson had an old gray mule, his name was Sliming Slick. He'd back his ears and hide his feet, and how that mule would kick, that mule would say. That's what he said. Rum around the way. Rum around the way. Johnson had an old gray mule, he died of dying breath. He stuck his hind legs down his throat, kicked himself to death, the mule would say. That's what he said. Rum around the way. Rum around the way. About 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, down around the barnyard, you hear something sound something a little like this. Oh, Maud, oh, boy, oh. Hey.
We saw Ruth McLean out here a while ago on the bass with Ramona. So let's give her a real nice welcome. I'm anxious to hear what she's going to do and listen to her. Jennifer Rose, how about it? Let's hear a big round of applause.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to be on this stage and included in this festival. This is my first official year as a member of the Tennessee Fall Homecoming performers. I'm going to do some Appalachian songs, a couple songs that I grew up singing, and I thought that everybody knew. I think they're funny stories, and I hope you enjoy them. If you know them, you can sing along. There was an old man who lived in the wood, as you can plainly see, who said he could do more work in one day than his wife could do in 3. If that be true, the old woman said, why then you must allow that you should do more work for one day while I go drive the plow. But you must milk the tiny cow for fear she should go dry, and you must feed the little pigs that are within the sty, and you must watch the bracket hen lest she should lay astray, and you must wind the reel of yarn that I spun yesterday. The old woman took the staff in her hand and went to drive the plow. The old man took the pail in his hand and went to milk the cow. But Tiny hitched and Tiny flitched and Tiny cocked her nose, and Tiny gave the old man such a kick that the blood ran down to his toes. It's I'm a good cow and home a good cow, and I'm a good cow, stand still. If ever I milk this cow again, 'twill be against my will. But Tiny hitched and Tiny flitched and Tiny cocked her nose, and Tiny gave the old man such a kick that the blood ran down to his toes. And when he had milked the tiny cow for fear she should go dry, why then he fed the little pigs that were within the sty, and then he watched the bracket hen lest she should lay astray. But he forgot the reel of yarn his wife spun yesterday. He swore by all the stars in heaven and all the leaves on the tree that his wife could do more work in one day than he could do in 3. He swore by all the leaves on the tree and all the stars in heaven that his wife could do more work in one day than he could do in 7. Thank you. There are some guys out there I see going, eh. So I'm all for equal opportunity, equality, and so I'll do a song where the man wins. This is an old Scotch-Irish song I found out, originally called The Old Woman from Wexford, but I learned it as There Was an Old Woman in Our Town. It would help to make it a little lighter song if y'all sang along on the Fa La La chorus. I know there's bound to be some singers out there, so just lift your voices with me. if this song was in a minor key and sung slowly, it would be rather sad. And we don't want to be sad today. There was an old woman in our town did dwell. She loved her husband dearly, but another man twice as well. Fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la. Good, I saw some mouths moving, that's great. She went down to the butcher shop to see what she could find, intent upon buying something to make her old man blind. Fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la. She bought 7 dozen old marrow bones and made him eat them all. Said he, "Old woman, I am so blind I can't see you at all." Fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la. Now, if they can just arrange to shoot that thing off in rhythm every time, that'd be great. Said he, "I'd like to drown myself, but I cannot find the way." Said she, "Old man, I'll help you, just come along with me." Fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la. She took him to the riverbank, and there she made him stand, while she drew back a few paces to push him from the land. Fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la. She took a running jump to push him off ahead, but the old man stepped aside and she fell in instead. Fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la. But she ain't gonna give up that fast. "Oh, husband dear, come save me," loudly she did bawl. Said he, "Old woman, I am so blind I can't see you at all." Fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la. And like every good story, this one has a moral. Now 7 dozen old marrow bones may make your old man blind, but if you want to kill him, you must slip up from behind. Fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la. Thank you. I want to tell y'all a story about a couple that loved each other like that, I suppose, that I borrowed from a man who watched me grow up named Lowell Jones. And I'm going to tell it about Mr. Jones, because that's who I learned it from. Mr. Jones and his wife had been married for a long time. One day, Mrs. Jones, she up and died. So Mr. Jones, he hollered over to the neighbors, and they brought over a board so they could carry her out the house and over to the local church for services. Well, the Joneses, they lived in one of those typical houses with a little front porch and a couple rockers on it and some pillars. Great big tree in the front yard with the roots that stick up above the ground. So as those neighbor men were carrying Mrs. Jones out the front yard, one of the men who was carrying the back of her tripped on a root, dropped her clean to the ground. Well, it jolted her, and she sat up. Couldn't find a thing wrong with her, so she went on back in the house, continued doing as she had been. But wouldn't you know it, a few years later, Mrs. Jones, she up and died again. So Mr. Jones called over to the neighbors, and they brought over their board, and were carrying her out of the front door and down those front porch steps. Mr. Jones, he was leaning up against a pillar there, watching them as they went out the front yard. He said, "Hey, fellas, watch that root." I'll finish up here with a pretty song. We've got cassettes and CDs over there with the yellow tablecloth if y'all would like to take some of this music home. And I'll be back at 6 o'clock to play a little dulcimer for you. In Dublin's fair city, where the girls are so pretty, there I first set my eyes on sweet Molly Malone. She wheeled her wheelbarrow through the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Well, she was a fishmonger, and for sure 'twas no wonder, for her mother and father were fishmongers too. They wheeled their wheelbarrows through the streets broad and narrow, excuse me, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Well, she died of a fever, and 'twas no one could save her, and that was the end of sweet Molly Malone. Now her ghost wheels the barrow through the streets broad and narrow, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, alive, alive, oh, crying cockles and mussels, alive, alive, oh. Thank you very much.
Very nice, Jennifer. Very nice. I'll tell you, the voice fits the person, doesn't it? Very pretty.
That's because I told my wife on the way down here, we got a Republican tax assessor I like a lot. And I told her, I said, you know, the only two Republicans that I really, elected people that I've ever seen that I really like a lot is Nat Winston and Bill Bennett, our tax assessor in Chattanooga. But my daddy was a Republican, so I have to like them pretty good. Here's a song that I wrote back in 1971 and 1972. Nat Stuckey put it out and had a #1 song with it. You men may be able to use this to get out of trouble. Last night I stopped off for a beer on my way home, and I saw this broken-hearted sweet thing crying all alone. My tender heart was deeply touched at the sight of a woman's tears. So I said hi there, and I pulled up a chair, and I ordered us a couple of beer. We might struck but a drank or two, but it took my life, and it may help you. And if your woman's like mine, you'd better make it good. Now the tone of your voice has a lot to do with whether she believes what you say is true. If you think you ought to practice a few times, I think I would. Just tell her, don't pay the ransom, honey, I've escaped. Considering what I've been through, I'm in good shape. Well, my wrists and ankles are a little sore from the tape, but don't pay the ransom, honey, I've escaped. Now, if you get tied up somewhere tonight, on your way home, in a poker game or with a good-looking dame, and it slips your mind a phone. Now don't grow your cool like a crazy fool and tell your woman where you been. Your situation requires imagination, and I got a suggestion, my friend. Tell her don't pay the ransom, honey, I've escaped. Considering what I've been through, I'm in good shape. Well, my wrists and ankles are a little sore from the tape, but don't pay the ransom, honey, I've escaped. I used to have a band back in Chattanooga, a full-size band, and had an old boy that played harmonica for me. He was really good. I don't believe he's quite good as George, that guy just out here, but he was good. And he used to, I wrote a song one time about a gay dog. Did you ever hear such a thing? But it really had a true story behind it, because I was watching the gay parades, and I happened to have a friend there right outside of Chattanooga in a little community called Holiday Hills. And he had a gay dog. Now, I'm a politician, and I wouldn't lie to you. He bought that dog for $350 because his wife bought a female dog for $350, and he kept that dog 14 years, and it never would have nothing to do with girl dogs. So while I'm watching the gay parades in California and I noticed they was marching and had their own theme song, I said, the gay dogs ain't got no theme song. So I wrote this theme song and sent it to the National Gay Dog Liberation Movement. And a boy in my band said, you know, when you die, the papers won't say Dalton Roberts, former county executive, dies. It'll say Dalton Roberts, writer of Gay Dog, dies. And I said, that suits me. Well, I had this dog, and his name was Spike. He was a big old dog, but he wouldn't bite, and when the female dogs come around, old Spike played dead. One day I was attacked this little old fice, so I turned him loose and said, sick him, Spike. And he run up to that little fice, and here's what he said. Arf, arf. And the big old bowsy, wowsy. And if I don't get it, woof, woof to you, huddly-luddly, arf, arf. And the big old bowsy, wowsy. My name is Spike, and I think I'm gonna like you. Now, needless to say, I was deeply shocked, so I took him to one of them animal docs. He said all Spike needed was a female friend. So I bought this beautiful St. Bernard, and I turned him loose out in the backyard. When she licked Spike on the face, here's what he said. Arf, arf. And the big old bowsy, wowsy, are you hussy? And if I don't get it, woof, woof to you, huddly-luddly, arf, arf. And the big old bowsy, wowsy. If you think I'm that kind of dog, I got news for you. Well, I kept old Spike, because to say the least, he was a very interesting conversation piece, laying on his big silk pillow by the side of my bed. Old Liberace wanted one of his pups, but every time I tried to mate him up, old Spike would just walk away and shake his head. Arf, arf. And the big old bowsy, wowsy. And if I don't get it, woof, woof to you, huddly-luddly, arf, arf. And the big old bowsy, wowsy. If you think I'm that kind of dog, I got news for you. Tell you something else, you're going to have to do something about that cold, cold nose. All right. I want to close here with a song that is on a gospel album. I don't have any of my gospel albums left. I've re-recorded a whole bunch of them. They'll be out around Christmas time. This song I wrote for a nursing home in Chattanooga when we was trying to raise money for a little guy that was just really looked like a pretzel. His arms was all twisted and he couldn't use his arms to have a wheelchair. And I put out a gospel album and gave it to the nursing home, and they sold it and bought him a wheelchair. And it was worth it to see him sitting with that big smile. My mother always wanted me to write some gospel songs, and I finally did, and I'm glad I did while she was still living. But when I started writing these, I was having trouble writing them, and she said, have you asked the Lord to help you? And I said, no, ma'am. She said, well, you ask him and he'll help you. So she said, I'll ask him too. Well, that perked me up because he always seemed to pay a little attention to my mom. So when I went back home, I sat down at the kitchen table, and within an hour I had written 2 songs on that album, and it wasn't long until I had the whole album done. And this is one called I Wondered What He Wrote in the Sand. She was just a woman of the street, and they threw her in shame at Jesus' feet. As they stood there with stones in their hands, he stooped and wrote something in the sand. I think he wrote, you can always start again. No matter who you are or what you've been, I'll help you if you'll give me your hand. I wonder what he wrote in the sand. They said, Master, she should die for her wrong. He said, if you have no sin, then cast your stone. And one by one they dropped them from their hand. At the words he was writing in the sand, I think he wrote, only love can change a man. So love one another, it's the great command. As he stood there with her life in his hand, I wonder what he wrote in the sand. Thank you very much,
Mighty
ladies and
pretty.
gentlemen.
Dalton Roberts, folks, from Chattanooga. Great guy. Good singer. All right.
Is Uncle Dave Macon under the name of Leroy Troy. Let's welcome him right here, big time, yeah.
Thank you. Boy, sure is quiet out here, ain't it? I'll start off with, are you from Dixie? Well, let's see here. I see my buddy Jim Stafford sitting out here. I think he wants to hear old Dan Tucker, don't you? What? Yeah, we'll do old Dan Tucker. The other night, I heard the noise, I saw the fight. The watchman was running around saying, no Dan Tucker's come to town. Get out the way, old Dan Tucker, get out the way, old Dan Tucker, get out the way, old Dan Tucker, you're too late to get your supper. Remember that? turkey, Summertown, swing them ladies round and round, first to the right and then to the left, then to the gal he liked the best. Get out the way, old Dan Tucker, get out the way, old Dan Tucker, get out the way, old Dan Tucker, you're too late to get your supper. Was a fine old man, washed his face in a frying pan, combed his head with the wagon wheel, died with a toothache in his heel. Get out the way, old Dan Tucker, get out the way, old Dan Tucker, get out the way, old Dan Tucker, you're too late to get your supper. Get out the way, old Dan Tucker, get out the way, old Dan Tucker, supper's over and dinner's cooking, old Dan Tucker just stands there looking. Thank you. Well, I'll do something else now. Want to hear? Hey, how about my love song? Y'all ain't heard that yet, have you? My love song. I think y'all like this one pretty good. Huh? Where you're going to? Hey, y'all can help me sing on the chorus too. God, I wish I was single again. Let me get my picks out for this one. Hey, you know what? I could tell a joke. It's just about the only joke I know, you know. I said, I went to the river to take a swim, hung my britches out on a limb, put my shoes down in the grass, and I jumped in the water, clean up to my knees. Yeah, I know it don't rhyme. The water wasn't deep enough. How about that? I was single again. I wish I was single again. Y'all sing it now. Oh, when I was single, my pockets would jingle, and I wish I was single again. I married me a wife, oh then. I married me a wife, oh then. I married me a wife was the joy of my life, but I wish I was single again. She beat and she banged me, oh then. She beat and she banged me, oh then. She beat and she banged me and swore she would hang me, and I wish I was single again. She went for the rope, oh then. She went for the rope, oh then. She went for the rope. I gagged and I choked, and I wish I was single again. I wish I was single again. I wish I was single again. Oh, when I was single, my pockets did jingle, and I wish I was single again. She died, oh then. My wife, she died, oh then. My wife, she died, and I laughed till I cried to think I was single again. I went to her funeral, oh then. I went to her funeral, oh then. I went to her funeral and danced Yankee Doodle to think I was single again. I married me another, oh then. I married me another, oh then. I married me another, was a devil's stepmother, and I wish I was single again. Gonna buy me an old claw hammer. Gonna buy me an old claw hammer. Gonna buy a claw hammer and I'll kill her, God bless her. I wish I was single again. I wish I was single again. I wish I was single again. Oh, when I was single, my pockets did jingle, and I wish I was single again. Thank you. You like that? And pretty good. One or two? What do you want to hear? Uh-oh, never mind. Never mind that right there. Huh? I done played it once a day. You don't... Yeah, I did. I played it up there on that stage. Well, doggone it. Y'all want me to play that? I usually don't like to see the same thing twice, you know, on the same day. Well, you have to turn me up back there. Grandfather's clock. I don't know, kind of cold out here today and my finger's a little bit stiff, you know, it's kind of hard to pick. Good excuse, ain't it? I might just bypass that joke. There's 3 or 4 of them that'll tell, you know. Let's see. Doggone it, I forgot it. Let's see there. Oh, yeah. Hickory dickory dock. 2 mice run up the clock. The clock struck 1. The other got away. Hickory dickory dock. Thank you. Say y'all like that and pretty good. Oh shoot, you ain't seen nothing yet. Hey, we got Mr. Ed Dye in the audience over yonder. See me that red and white polka dotted hat? I said you ain't seen nothing yet. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, you'll show 'em what you had. The famous Mr. Ed Dye. Hey, New River Train. We'll get that. Since I'm tuned up in this here G.
Leroy Troy. Leroy, take a bow. Hey, I want to know something. Did you see that little girl down there smile at you?
Which one?
That right down there, the one that nudged that and sitting next to her, said, gee, I wished he was mine.
All of them smiling.
I don't blame him. I laughed out loud when I first saw you.
Hey, tell them I got some tapes for sale over here.
Tell him what? Leroy says he's got some tapes for sale down there, and if you come down and smile real pretty, he'll sign them for you, okay? Leroy Troy, folks, he was on Hee-Haw for a couple of years.
Okay, here comes Terry Pierce and the Summertown Bluegrass Reunion Band. Okay, come up here, fellers. I never saw a banjo picker that was fat, and I never saw a banjo picker that smiled until just right now. Now, when he starts picking, he'll swell up. You watch him.
He saw a lot of fat fiddle players, though, hadn't he?
Yeah, I sure have.
Right here's one of them. Y'all ready, I hope. Are you the lady that wanted the tape? Ain't that awful? I couldn't get you one while ago, but I brought you one up here. You're welcome. All right, here's one called the Clinch Mountain Backstep. Jackson. Will, give him a big hand there. Appreciate that. Mighty fine crowd. Applaud us like that. I tell you what, we'll play harder if y'all do that. Gonna get the girls to do us one here. The name of it, Tammy, what is it again?
I don't blame you.
I don't blame you if that's the way you feel.
I don't blame you, for I know you want him, that your love for me was never real. I could hold you, but you'd be unhappy. but it's alright if that's the way you feel. I know that I will always go on caring, and my feelings now I must conceal. I still need you and I want you with me, but it's alright if that's the way you feel. I always knew someday I would lose you when those lies about me were revealed. It's plain to see, sweetheart, you believe him, but it's alright if that's the way you feel. I know that I will always go on caring, and my feelings now I must conceal. I still need you and I want you with me, but it's alright if that's the way you feel. But it's alright if that's the way you feel.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Don't y'all brag on them girls too much. They'll be wanting to take a show over there.
That sounds good.
I appreciate that. Last year when we were up here, Mr. Irwin wanted us to play Gray Eagle, and so we're going to do it again today. I don't think he got to listen to a whole lot of it last year, so we're going to do it again for him. One called the Gray Eagle. Get it, Jeff. Keep your eye on the banjo picker. Yeah. All righty. By the way, it's my little wife, Tammy, here. Y'all will give her a big hand.
Thank you.
Over there next to her, her name's Debbie Method. That's her husband. Next to her name's Stan.
Thank you. Thank you.
One of the finest banjo pickers in the country. On my right here, Mr. Bill Jackson. My name's Terry Pierce, and we're going to play you another tune here. Mr. Bill Monroe wrote this tune right here, and we hope we can do it justice. One called Scotland.
All right. Mighty fine. You gonna do one more? All right.
All righty, we're going to do you one more, and we've really enjoyed playing for you. Be back the next 3 days. And is there anything y'all particularly want to hear? Maybe if we can do it, we'll be glad to. If not, we're going to play you one. This is a tune wrote for the town of Huntsville, Alabama. How many know where Huntsville, Alabama's at? There you go. It's an old-time fiddle player wrote this tune down that way, Mr. Artie P. Crowder, and we're going to play it one called Huntsville. Big hand for Jesse there doing the dancing. Thank y'all.
Tony Pierce. And down there.
You know they're good. Mr. Harper's been a good friend now for quite a few years. I really enjoy knowing him, and I really enjoy listening to him. Play him on my show every week. Let's welcome Mr. Roy Harper and Gene Bush.
Gene Bush. Hello. Thank you. I'm happy as a hound to be here, and I know Gene is too. I've got all request program here, and I'm sorry there's one or two of them I wasn't able to get on, but to start off in the memory of the late Gene Ortrey, the Cowboy's Heaven. Tonight I'm a tired-weary cowboy. I've been in the saddle all day, searching the hills and the valleys for cattle that strayed away. Oh, pain is hard and lays weary. His feet are broken and sore. But someday our work will be over, and we'll ride on that other shore. Laying wrapped up in my blanket, looking straight up at the sky, watching the bright stars a-twinkling away up there high. Seems sometimes maybe they see me, and maybe they understand, or they may be the souls of cowpunchers gone to that promised land. Well, grass in cloud pasture, I know. I'll give him a handful of sugar and watch him say thanks with his eyes. I'll mount and then we'll be ready to report to that range boss on high. A little ditty-o, ditty-o, ditty. Thank you kindly. Thank you very much. I'd like to dedicate this next one to Mr. Lyle West, the old sourdough buddy up in Alaska. This is one of the late Jimmy Rogers' last blue yodels entitled "The Women Make a Fool Out of Me." Just as quick as I do, a little slight adjustment here. And this was recorded May the 17th in 1933 in New York City. I love the women, I love them all the same. I love the women, I love them all the same. I don't love nobody well enough to change her name. Women make a fool out of me. Oh, the lady, oh, lady, oh, lady. When I'm in the parlor, the girl thinks it's a treat. When I'm in the parlor, the girl thinks it's a treat. Or even in the winter time, they turn off the heat. Women make a fool out of me. Oh, the lady, oh, lady, oh, lady. My papa scolded me. My mama said and cried. Lord, my papa scolded me. My mama said and cried. Said I had too many women for any little boy my size. Women make a fool out of me. Oh, the lady, oh, lady, oh, lady. I once knew a gal, a sweet thing that I thought I would win. Lord, I once knew a gal I thought I would win. But I found out she always eat her crackers in bed. Oh, the women make a fool out of me. Oh, little lady, oh, the lady, oh, the little lady. Thank you. Thank you very much. You have been a wonderful audience. I think maybe they might let me do one more. And this pretty well tells my life story today. I'm about ready to hang this up at my advanced age, and these songs are a little out of date and for various other reasons, but I still hope some of you remember these old songs. I'm trying to keep them alive, but for I don't know how long. This is one of my favorites. Like I say, pretty well tells my life story today, ladies and gentlemen. And it is entitled, Let the Rainbows In. I've traveled this old world over, and now I'm going down to the rainbow's end. From twilight till dawn, trudging on and on, till I come to the rainbow's end. Till I come to the rainbow's end. I'm weary, I'm tired, but I don't care. I'm going down to the rainbow's end. No friends, no home, just traveling alone on my way to the rainbow's end. On my way to the rainbow's end. They say there are treasures of silver and gold buried down by the rainbow's end. But the treasures I find will bring me real peace of mind when I come to the rainbow's end. When I come to the rainbow's end, someone is waited there all alone, and so I know at the rainbow's end how it feels to be pressed to an angel's breast when we meet at the rainbow's end. Oh, the lady, oh, the lady, oh, the lady, oh, lady, oh, the lady. Thank you.
Mr. Roy, don't go away. You just hold on right there. Now, you said something about these old songs. Folks, the old songs are just as good as they ever were. They just don't get played anymore. So while you're here, you play one more of them. All right? That all right with y'all?
All right. All right, we'll do one here entitled Jimmy's Texas Blues. Jimmy recorded this in August 11th in 1929 in Dallas, Texas. Jimmy's Texas Blues. The way I've been treated, sometime I wish I were dead. The way I've been treated, sometime I wish I were dead, Lord, Lord. 'Cause I ain't got no place to lay my weary head. When I want you, woman, I always find you gone. Every time I want you, I always find you gone. You're always gone. Listen here, mean mama, I'm going to put your air brakes on. Some like Chicago, some love Memphis, Tennessee. Some like Chicago, some love Memphis, Tennessee. Hey, sweet mama, give me sweet Dallas, Texas, where the women think a world of me. Hey, hey, hey. Da-dee-da-da-dee. Let me hear your slide. You may have your troubles, I'm having my troubles too. You may have your troubles, I'm having my troubles too. Oh, I know how it feels when you're feeling so doggone blue. I'm not singing the blues, I'm telling you the hard luck I've had. I'm not singing blues, I'm telling you the hard luck I've had. And baby, I've had them too. Lord, the blues ain't nothing but a good man feeling bad. Oh,
All right, Mr. Roy Harper and Gene Bush. Thank you, Mr. Roy. You wanna come in? You gonna put Raymond on?
Crashed down the other half. It wasn't full, but the best they could tell had a lot of Irvin in me on my daddy's side.
I can't believe.
Folks, I'll tell you what, let's do before we pick any. You know, we all gather together here every year, and it's on account of one man's Addy. And if he don't deserve a hand and a standing hand, nobody does. John Rice Irvin, come on.
I don't do that, no. You make me feel.
I've often said this, and I'll say it again. He's the only highly, highly, highly educated man that I ever saw in my life that had any sense. He's got degrees in college, a college professor, but still yet, John never did forget where he come from. He's down on the level. He's the only highly educated man that I can sit and talk to. Long live, God bless, John Rice Irvin.
Raymond, you see, he wanted a raise a while ago, and I said no. And how can you know? Well, we need to pick some, Raymond.
Okay.
He's got a new video out, and everybody that I know has viewed it says it's wonderful and really great. It's been a long time. He got one of the best men that produced it around. But anyhow, we're gonna let you pick. They're for sale over there.
Along with Rod Meister and Raymond King. Let's go with it, boys. Thank you, folks. Thank you. And like I said this morning up at the little stage, I don't know how many years in a row it makes we've been here. We've been here many, many, many years in a row. And it's always good, and I look forward to coming back to the Museum of Appalachia Homecoming. I've played festivals in every state in the Union, a lot of overseas work. But right here, I'd rather be here as anywhere I ever played in my life, folks, and that's coming from here. John Rice Irvin. I'll introduce the boys to you now. Over on my far left, from North Carolina, close to Maggie Valley, North Carolina, where I live, a great rhythm guitar picker. I've known him 30 years. And a great singer, Johnny McElroy. Let's hear it for Johnny. And from up in the great state of Virginia, folks, I named him the boy with the golden voice. He comes from around Doran, Virginia. He's a great rhythm guitar picker. And you talk about the old mountain style, singing, he can do it, he can lay it down. Mr. Raymond King. Let's give Raymond a hand. And the gentleman on bass fiddle, you usually see him with his sidekick, L.B. Sotheby, picking the guitar and doing the great songs he's wrote. He works at my place in Maggie Valley from the end of April through October every Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. One of the greatest men I've ever met. One of the greatest songwriters and singers I've ever met. one of the greatest guitar and bass players I ever met, Mr. Rob Mashburn. Let's hear it for Rob. And I ain't gonna tell what year, but it's been several years ago. On Bunches Creek, right out of Cherokee, North Carolina, there's an Indian woman give birth to a baby. That was me. I'm Raymond Fairchild, folks. Raymond King's gonna do your number now, folks. I want you to pay attention to his voice, and I will tell you again that Raymond's has got 14 or 15 different cassette tapes. Rob's got CDs and cassettes. I've got CDs and cassettes. We're all set up right yonder in a row. So come down, you can't mess us. And I've also got the new video John Rice was telling you about. It's got Roy Acuff on it, back in the 70s. It's got Mike Snyder, Doyle Lawson, Ralph Stanley, John Rice Irvin, Nat Winston, Rob Mashburn, L.B. Soulsby, just to name a few.
And they're all free today. Everything is free. All of his tapes over here.
Yeah, I thought he was gone. But anyhow, here's Raymond King with a 14-carat mine. Listen to this voice, John Rice.
I still recall the morning that I met you, standing out in front of Wilson's Five and Dime, staring at the jewelry through the window, hungry for the things you couldn't buy. Just like a fool, I thought that I could please you. I saw you had an eye for things that shine. I paid $7 sawmill for a bracelet, just to satisfy your 14-carat mind. Led by these railroad tracks and down, with a hurting head and a half a pint of wine. Everything except my soul has been surrendered, just to satisfy your 14-carat mind. The cabin that I built in West Virginia was not enough to keep you satisfied. All the man that's got a sawmill occupation can't afford to feed a rich girl's appetite. I wonder if you're still with Willie Jackson. Sometimes I wonder if he's still alive. Oh, Willie, he gave up his wife and children just to satisfy your 14-carat mind. Led by these railroad tracks and down, with a hurting head and a half a pint of wine. Everything except my soul has been surrendered, just to satisfy your 14-carat mind. Led by these railroad tracks and down, with a hurting head and a half a pint of wine. Everything except my soul has been surrendered, just to satisfy your 14-carat mind. Just to satisfy your 14-carat mind.
Mr. Raymond King, folks. The man with a golden voice, I've done and named him. A powerful voice, a stereo voice. Let's give Raymond another big hand, folks. And remember his tapes down here now, folks. We all here, we got to make a little money selling our stuff, and you folks can listen all winter long. It's going to be an open winter, but you can still listen to the tapes. Come down by and look at them and buy a tape or two, and we'll talk to you. And we will not lie you. John Rice will tell you that. Let's see here now, boys. Talk a little, Rod. I've got to.
Like Raymond said, folks, he's over at Maggie's Opry House in Maggie Valley, North Carolina. His wife Shirley's got a building over there. They're open 7 nights a week. Me and my old buddy LB, we play there 3 nights, Sunday, Mondays, Tuesdays. And the rest of the time, Raymond and his son and Josh Crow and his son are there. And while I'm here, I'd like to tell you folks, if you happen to be over around Hiawassee, Georgia next Monday, I've got 2 big shows over at Anderson Music Hall at 2 o'clock and one at 8. So if you're over that way at the Fall Festival, come by and see us there.
Thank you, Rob Mashburn, and folks, Maggie Valley here to telling you about the Opry House. It's open from the last weekend in April through October. My wife runs it while I ain't there, and she runs it with a rod of iron. I'll guarantee you that. She fooled around John Rice Irvin just long enough to be a good promoter. She's great. John's been promising to come over, but he ain't never yet to my Opry House, but he's going to do it one of these times, him and Nat together. Folks, I'm going to get off of here. We've done this, makes the 3rd show today, and we're going to be here 3 more days. And Brother Doyle Lawson's going to come on. I know you folks want to hear him. This is his last day here. I'm going to wind it up with a little thing. At the end of any journey, I don't care where it is, if you've been off 3 weeks, or if it come time to die, this is where everybody wants to head. Home sweet home.
Raymond Fairchild, yes, sir. He's a good fellow to be able to call friend, and I do that. He doesn't answer, but I call him friend.
Yeah. How many of you been over
here to sing and play for you? I don't care if the bell won't chime, just as long as you love me. I don't
don't care if the gins don't gin, just as long as you love me. So darling, let it rain, let it snow, let the cold north winds blow, just as long as you love me. North or south, east or west, you know I will stand the test, just as long as you love me. Darling, let it rain, let it snow, let the cold north winds blow, just as long as you love me. North or south, east or west, you know I will stand the test, just as long as you love me. Snow, let the cold north winds blow, just as long as you love me. North or south, east or west, you know I will stand the test, just as long as you love me. Just as long as you love me. Oh yeah. April can count on the showers, the grass can count on the dew, and March can count on the windy day. That's how I can count on you. If the road looks long and endless, with nothing but heartbreaking view, I'll smile all the while, for I'll know that I can always count on you. If fame and fortune should pass me by, though a beggar stand alone, for a king and his kingdom could never find a love as true as a love we have known. Like a baby can count on his mother at night when the day is all through. Lovers can count on the moon, silver moon. That's how I can count on you. Showers, the grass can count on the dew, and March can count on the windy day. That's how I can count on you. If the road looks long and endless, with nothing but heartbreaking view, I'll smile all the while, for I'll know that I can always count on you. If fame and fortune should pass me by, no beggar stand alone, for a king in his kingdom could never find a love as true as the love we have known. Like a baby can count on his mother at night when the day is all through. Lovers can count on the moon, silver moon. That's how I can count on you. That's how I can count on you. Oh yeah! Thank y'all. Thank y'all so very much, and we'll welcome you to our third and final go-around here at the beautiful Museum of the Appalachia. The wonderful, wonderful time we've been having so far. We'll hurry right along, though. We've got to get out of here and make our way towards Ohio. And then we, for lack of anything better to do, we're going to be in Sioux Falls, South Dakota Saturday. So, but we're flying out there. That is, if our arms will hold up, to
can't ever tell. Got the economy flight, you know. Oh, gracious. We've enjoyed ourselves the whole day, and one more time, make welcome on the 5-string banjo, all the way from LJ, Georgia, Mr. Barry Abernathy, all right? Well, Hacksaw Jack is long and lean, the devil in his soul, his eyes are green. Yeah, get your woman if he can, they love the Tennessee banjo man.
Play that banjo, make it ring. See old Hacksaw picking those strings. The girls get crying and clap their hands. They love the Tennessee banjo man.
Well, he picks all night, sleeps all day. Wild as a buck, he was made that way. There's some musical magic in his hands. They love the Tennessee banjo man.
Play that banjo, make it ring. See old Hacksaw picking those strings. Girls get crying and they clap their hands. They love the Tennessee banjo man.
Comes up and the sun goes down, that's when Hacksaw comes to town. Well, they all get around and clap their hands, they love the Tennessee banjo man.
Play that banjo, make it ring. See old Hacksaw picking those strings. The girls get crying and they clap their hands. They love the Tennessee banjo man. Make it ring, see old Hacksaw picking those strings. Girls get crying and they clap their hands. They love the Tennessee banjo man.
Well, looky here. Son, you better go into politics. You're milking them today, I know that. Oh, gracious day. Tell you what, you get them stirred up there, Barry Abernathy. We're, in addition to our fiddle player, he's made quite a splash here today. If I was going to play the fiddle, I'd probably try to play it just about like he plays it. And he's doing a great job. Been with us about 8 months. And I know that you're looking up here in utter awe and amazement and asking yourself, is there no beginning to them fellers' talent? Am I going too fast for you? Please make welcome our fiddle player, Mr. Jimmy Van Cleve from Canton, North Carolina.
Thank you. Me and Ab are going to come around here and play one that we kind of cohorted on. Is that a word? Anyways, doesn't matter, does it? Anyways, this is an old tune. I was riding down the road and saw an old train switch out there in the field, and it was midnight, and it looked kind of lonesome.
Mind you a song, didn't it?
Just, yeah, probably I stole this, and I just don't know it. But anyways, this is it's called Wilson Switch. Thank you.
Thank you so much. One that they made up right out of their own head for no reason at all. Riding down the road one morning on the bus, and they come in to create everywhere, and it scared us. And that's what they come up with. What y'all call that? Never mind. Our bass player and bass singer supreme, Mr. Dale Perry. Would you make him welcome, all right? Here's a song from our latest gospel project that's entitled Gospel Radio Gems. Features Dale on the bass vocals, and it doesn't have a banjo on it either, does it? He's part Chinese. That's very tuning Abernathy. Here's a song entitled Peace Like a River.
Peace like a river, flows through my soul. I've been forgiven, cleansed and made whole.
Peace like a river, so gently is flowing. How sweet to my soul this marvelous peace, sweeter and sweeter each day. It is growing like God's rivers.
Filled with the Spirit, I am so happy and glad. Jesus has given wonderful peace.
I'll play it for us, Scott.
Peace gently flowing, sweet and divine, gives the assurance, Jesus is mine.
Peace like a river, so gentle is flowing. How sweet to my soul is this marvelous peace, sweeter and sweeter each day. It is growing like God's rivers,
Filled with the Spirit, I am so happy and glad. Jesus has given wonderful peace. Glory forever to Jesus, my Savior, for wonderful, marvelous, heavenly peace.
peace overflowing, much sweeter is growing. What wonderful,
Dale Perry. Well, ain't that something? I'm telling you what, I can't even think that long. We'll sing one more from the Gospel Radio Gems project. And so many people have told us how much they enjoyed that. It's real simple. We went into the studio with a guitar and 2 microphones and the quartet, sung our little hearts out. about 45 minutes. Then we got serious about it. Here's the quartet to sing for you. I'm finding joy in my Savior's love.
Sin's allegiance is far behind me, and its pleasures in vain allure. I'm finding joy.
I'm finding joy in the Savior's love.
In the Savior's love. And no matter how hard the battle, by the anchor steadfast and sure,
I'm finding joy.
I'm finding joy in my Savior's love. Savior's love.
I'm
Finding joy
in His love divine.
Love divine.
There's perfect peace.
Perfect peace.
In His heart of mine.
Heart of mine.
All along the road,
On the road
to the home above.
home above.
Finding joy.
Finding joy in my Savior's love. Precious love. As I travel the gospel highway, there is melody in my soul. I'm finding joy.
I'm finding joy in my Savior's love.
In my Savior's love. Nothing doubting my faith grows stronger. Happy in His divine control.
I'm finding joy.
I'm finding joy in my Savior's love. Savior's love.
I'm finding joy.
Finding joy
In His love divine.
Love divine.
There's perfect peace.
Perfect peace.
In His heart of mine.
Heart of mine.
All along the road,
On the road
to the home above.
home above.
Finding joy.
Finding joy in my Savior's love. Precious
I'm
love.
finding joy.
Finding joy
In His love divine.
Love divine.
There's perfect peace.
Perfect
In
peace.
His heart of mine.
Heart of mine.
All along the road,
On the road
to the home above.
home above.
Finding joy.
Finding joy in my Savior's love. Precious love.
Thank you so much. The quartet, Jim Walter Quartet, singing for you there. There, Jim Walter, build your home. Think you want it more? Well, okay, it's the Jim Walter way. Okay, okay. Folks, you don't have to be crazy to do this, but it sure does help, I'm going to tell you. I don't know how much time we got left. Bert, what are we doing here? Okay, well, all right. We'll play at the drop of a hat, won't we, fellas? Move up to about C then, and we'll do a couple more and then get off here, make way for some other folks. Here's a tune that we've been doing for a long, long time, one of my favorites, written by one of the greatest songwriters in bluegrass music, in my opinion. That was Carter Stanley. I've always been a fan of he and Ralph, his brother. And I'll do this for my second ex-wife, wherever she may be today. Getting on towards the month. I'll be hearing from her pretty quick, I think. I'm just kidding. I've only been married twice. I got to admit that I kid around like that all the time, but I have. One wife died, the other one won't. But, well, if she ever hears me say that, I'm dead. You know that? I mean, it's over for me. Here's the trio to sing for you our last goodbye. Oh, the nights are lonely here without you. All I see is grief and pain. For another's love you treasure. All our hopes now seem in vain.
For I love you as no other. Though you're going far away, will you ever thank my darling of our last goodbye today?
Of you, my darling, you look so sweet, smiling at me, and though I'm mother's arms may hold you. Those two blue eyes I long to see.
For I love you as no other, though you're going far away. Will you ever think, my darling, of our last goodbye today?
Now if you ever need me, darling, don't forget to drop a line. I'll always dream of you, my darling. Won't you think of me sometime?
For I love you as no other, though you're going far away. Will you ever think, my darling, of our last goodbye today? Of our last goodbye today.
Oh, yeah. Thank you all so very much. Our last goodbye today. Guess I told her to. Anyway. We've enjoyed ourselves. I want to thank John Rice for inviting us to come down and be a part of the festivities this week. We only get to stay one day, but we've got a little traveling to do when we leave here. We thank you all so much for being here. And as I said, I commend John Rice on his efforts for preserving a part of history that I hope never goes away. And above all, though, we want to always go away with giving thanks to the one most important in our lives, and that's our Lord and Savior, for his goodness and mercy that rides all the miles with us, keeps his hand of mercy upon us, takes care of us when we least expect it or suspect it. He's watching over us. You've been a delightful audience to sing to you. If you like us, we are Doyle, Lawson, and Quicksilver. If you don't like us, we're Hootie and the Blowfish. Somebody like that. Or the Smashing Pumpkins. That's my favorite group, you know. Oh, we used to do that to the house, keep them carrying them to the barn, you know. But anyway, that's another story you'll have to read all about in my book. On behalf of Barry Scott, Dale Perry, Barry Abernathy, Jimmy Van Cleave, myself, this is kind of our theme song. Until we see you again, may the good Lord bless each and every one of you.
Sea of life, sailing to a better home, where the saint of all the earth shall abide. Leaving all our trials here, many pleasures wait us there, when we cross the foam and reach the other side. Sailing onward, sailing on the foam, we're talking to the captain as the angry billows roll. Soon, yes, sailing to harbor and then safely on the tide, we're torn onward to the other side. Many millions now abide in that home beyond the tide, where the ransomed pilgrims wait free from care. There is room on board for all who will heed the captain's call and take ship for heaven's country bright and fair. Sailing onward, sailing on the fall, we're talking to the captain as the angry billows roll. Soon, yes, sailing to harbor and then safely on the tide, we're going on to the other side. Sailing on the foam, we're talking to the captain as the angry billows roll. Soon, yes, sailing to harbor and then safely on the tide, we're torn onward to the other side.
Thank you all, and God bless you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Doyle, Lawson, and Quicksilver. herself that this was her first time down here, I believe, to be a part of the show anyhow. And as I mentioned to you earlier, she come from Berea, Kentucky. And a lot of good folks, a lot of good music come from over that way, including the McLean family and a whole bunch of folks. Are you okay?
Well, I'm cold, but I can't play with that thing on.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Let's welcome back once again Jennifer Rose, folks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I brought my dulcimer this time as promised. I had some people come and complain. So here it is, good Appalachian song called Shady Grove. Lots of different ways to play this, and this is mine. I had a big fine horse, corn to feed him on. Pretty little girl to stay at home, feed him when I'm gone. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, my darling. Shady Grove, my little love, I'm going back to Harlan. How many of you out there know where Harlan, Kentucky is? All right. You ought to see my Shady Grove standing in the door. Shoes and stockings in her hand, a little bare feet on the floor. Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, my dear. Shady Grove, my little love, I'm bound for the Shady Grove. Oh, Shady Grove, my little love, Shady Grove, I say. Shady Grove, my little love, don't wait till the judgment day. Play a little Chinese now too. Well, that went much better than it usually does. It must be y'all's influence. Here's a crazy little Appalachian song that describes maybe how some of y'all have felt before when you're trying to put a baby to sleep and it doesn't want to go to sleep. And I haven't raised any children myself, but I have a very prolific family. I have 22 nieces and nephews. So I've rocked a lot of children, and since they weren't my babies, I thought of all kinds of horrible things I might be able to do with them just to make them be quiet. I probably will even with my babies think of these things. At least I hope that nobody out there has tried any of these. I'm sure that it would not be healthy for the child. There's a couple words you might not know in this song because it's an older song. The first one is fodder loft. And the fodder loft is nothing but a fancy word for a hayloft. And the word calico, those of us that know how to make quilts will know what calico is. It's that printed cotton. And the word moonshine, which I won't explain to you. You can sing along if you've ever had these feelings. It might be good to get them out. Oh, what'll I do with the baby, oh? What'll I do with the baby, oh? What'll I do with the baby, oh? When he won't go to sleepy, oh? Oh, what'll I do with the baby, oh? What'll I do with the baby, oh? What'll I do with the baby, oh? favorite. I'll wrap him up in calico, wrap him up in calico, wrap him up in calico, send him to his daddy-o. Yeah, I'll wrap him up in calico, wrap him up in calico, wrap him up in calico, send him to his daddy-o. That's what I'll do with the baby-o. That's what I'll do with the baby-o. That's what I'll do with the baby-o when he won't go to sleepy-o. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I'll finish up my set today with a song that I think has a wonderful message for us. It's a Shaker hymn, and I'm privileged to be a member of the Shaker choir at Pleasant Hill Shaker Village in Kentucky, and I've learned a lot of Shaker songs the past year and a half. This one was the first one I learned and is known all over the world by people in all kinds of different languages, and it just has a great message for our world today. So I know you all believe in simplicity, or you wouldn't be here listening to simple old-time music. So sing along with me if you know it. Tis a gift to be simple, tis a gift to be free, tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, we'll be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we will not be ashamed. To turn and to turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning we come round right. Tis the gift to be gentle, tis the gift to be fair, tis the gift to wake and breathe the morning air, and every day to walk in the path we choose is a gift that we pray we may ne'er come to lose. Gift to be loving, tis the best gift of all, like a quiet rain that blesses where it falls. And if you have the gift, you will truly believe it's better to give than it is to receive. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we will not be ashamed. To turn and to turn will be our delight, till by turning, turning we come round right. Thank you very much.
Jennifer Rose, how'd you like your first day here on part of the show? Well, very good.